Hi everybody, I'm Sumi with the Bloodworks Research Institute. We're at Stoup Brewing in the Ballard Brewery District. Let's go meet the brewers. It's really nice to meet both of you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Brad Benson, head brewer and co-owner of Stoup Brewing.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Sumi. My name's Robin Schumacher. I'm a brewer here and also a co-owner.
What inspired you to open Stoup Brewery?
Well, we opened it about 8 years ago now.
We've all had different careers before this started, and I was a high school biology teacher for 13 years.
And I practice forensic chemistry.
That's great that you both have science backgrounds. Science and research are really important at Bloodworks Northwest. How is it important to brewing?
From the science perspective, we really believe in process, making sure that our process stays consistent. And we've added a quality control lab pretty early on.
What do you have to do in the lab, and can you tell me more about your lab?
There are a lot of checks that we do along the way where we're checking gravities with refractometers and checking, or hydrometers and checking pH.
What's a refractometer?
A refractometer is basically, you have a liquid and you shine a light from it and you measure the amount of refraction it does. So usually the denser the liquid, the more the light will refract. And so that gives the brewer an idea of how much potential fermentable material is there.
We take pH measurements also. We have the salometer that we test the viability of the yeast that we're using so that we're pitching the appropriate rates.
And pitching means adding it?
Adding the yeast, yep.
Okay. Does every brewery have their own strains of yeast that they use?
A lot of breweries have patented strains that are there. Some of them share them, but there are yeast banks that are basically companies of microbiologists that their job is to bank, cryogenically freeze all the yeast and be able to prop it up if you want it. So we have probably 3 or 4 yeast banks we work with, and each of them might have 200 different strains of yeast that we can go through.
That's very akin to blood banking in a way. You want to make sure that you have the right types for the right uses. Of course, there are many more strains of yeast than there are types of blood, but that's amazing. So this has been really interesting. Should we go see the lab? So what is this?
These are just little sterile bags, and this is like one of the real simple tests that we do in the brewery is that we'll collect a sample of the wort before we pitch in the yeast, and we do it in a sanitary manner, and then we basically look at this pack. After 3 days, we see if there's any signs of fermentation. So it starts to cloud up, or the pack starts to bulge out, like it's fermenting and putting off CO2. Then we'll go back and do another layer of lab work to see if really there is a contamination in the beer.
It looks like you have a whole tray of beer too. Are you starting, is this your second breakfast, Tyler?
Not my second breakfast, no. But it is all the beer that we have in tank right now. So we do collect pH samples. If we see that the pH is too low, maybe that's another sign of contamination. If it's too low, it could be some kind of bacteria souring the beer, and that's not something we want. Then we know to check that beer later and see if there's maybe some kind of contamination in there. This is our salometer.
We use it to count yeast cells, but the technology was originally developed to count blood cells. So I think that's kind of cool that it was originally to help in the medical field, but us crafty brewers have taken it and applied it to the brewing industry.
Well, on behalf of Bloodworks Northwest, we're very grateful for all that you're doing for this benefit and all that you've done for Bloodworks Northwest in the past and hopefully in the future.
Yeah.
It's our pleasure.
Hey everybody, we're here at Nutty Squirrel Gelato in Magnolia Village. I can't wait for you to head inside. We've got a lot in store for you.
Hi, this is Tolga Seyman. I'm the founder and co-owner of Nutty Squirrel Gelato. This is our flagship store at the moment and also our main kitchen. Behind these walls, we actually produce everything, stock, store, and distribute from here on. This store has been in action over 4 years now. All the fun things takes place here.
How do you decide on the flavors that you're going to make?
We take pride in the tradition of gelato. There's certain things that are within tradition and certain things are obviously all American. And putting the tradition and all American together and hashing them in a pleasant way and syncing with the community, syncing with our beautiful Washington, it really comes kind of naturally. We source every ingredient locally.
That's great. Community, I think, is so important right now as we're coming off of the pandemic.
Thanks to our community, we're here today because of them. And being able to engage with each other, being able to support each other. We received immense help and support from the communities that we're in. We were able to connect with them in the fundraisers and helping the community, and it's two-way street.
Yeah.
It's everything that you do comes back in a multiple fold in our beautiful communities.
Blood banking is very much the same way. So it's really nice to be able to talk to you about this and to be able to get a sense of how everything fits together. I'd love to see a little bit more. Can you show us how you make all of these flavors, where all the magic starts?
Absolutely.
So it's great to be back in the kitchen where all of the dreams start. Can you tell me what the difference between ice cream and gelato is?
Most simplified version is cream is in ice cream and milk is in gelato. End results are denser structure compared to ice cream. Secondly is water formation, water activity, which is also ice, is gelato's nemesis. We don't like ice formation. Therefore, end result is much creamier and denser. And the last thing is, because of its structure, gelato is served at a temperature, ice cream is actually in liquid consistency. What that means for a consumer is that the first interaction, the first palate of gelato is much warmer than ice cream. And the warmer that is receptacles actually receiving more flavors forward rather than numbing sensation.
That's amazing. There's a lot of science involved in making gelato, it sounds like. So you have really a dream job here. What is it that you love most about being able to make gelato?
The ceremony. I love making it simple ceremony of traditional gelato making.
So it kind of brings you back to home because you're able to make gelato here.
It has its own rhythm, and which is soothing. I consider that as a meditation.
Do you have a favorite flavor?
Pistachio.
That's a good choice. Mine is the lemon cookie. That is so good.
I can continue talking about gelato all day, but it's time for us to go taste some. I hope you guys enjoy the flavors that we select for you guys, and enjoy.
I can't wait to taste it. Thanks, everybody. We're going to go try it out now.